evening, and welcome to SPORLITIKS, where sports and politics mix and mingle. I'm Stacey Johnson. Joining me tonight at 8 o'clock, the Nigerian moderate Republican Keith, the constitutional conservative Stephen, the libertarian, or the independent thinker. I'm sorry, Stephen. And Todd.
all of it is encompassed. It's all encompassed.
Okay.
I'll go along with all of that.
All right, thank you. Well, tonight, okay, good. Well, tonight, gun safety in America, will both political parties, Democratic and Republican, come together and make legislative change? Joey Logano's number 22 Ford won at the Gateway Motorsports Park. Stephen will tell us all about that in NASCAR. Gas prices for automobiles continue to remain high. How much per gallon do you pay at the pump? I'm paying about $4.50 in the Philadelphia area. Todd in tennis, he'll talk about the French Open. COVID cases in California tick upwards as Pride events kick off. The NBA Finals 2022, why there's so much more at stake for the title for the Boston Celtics. A baby formula plant finally reopens. The FDA clears Abbott's site in Michigan to pump out urgently needed food 4 months after a deadly contamination closed the plant. But why does Mexico and Canada have enough baby formula for their citizens and we don't? After a doping scandal, figure skating will raise the age limit to 17. The minimum for elite skaters will be phased in over 3 years and be in place in time for the 2026 Olympics. The CDC is sending monkeypox vaccines to people at high risk in a race to prevent the spread. Former Trump advisor Peter Navarro indicted on contempt of Congress charges, and some men from the Proud Boys were charged with sedition for their part in the January 6th riot. Primaries took place today. I hope you voted if you're in the following states: California, Iowa, Montana, New Mexico, South Dakota, New Jersey, and MISSISSIPPI, and more. If we can fit it in. First up, Stephen with NASCAR. Watch this clip.
Push me, brother, push me. Kurt doesn't get the start that...
No, he didn't.
He needed.
Joey did.
And he's going to dive in front.
Slide job. Moving up in front of him. Here goes the crossover. Kyle, will he get into him?
Inside, two back, both lanes behind, 45.
He's going to see another slide job right here. Kyle Busch drives it way off into the corner. Logano needs... Oh, he slid way up the track. Crossover coming.
And here comes Blaney. And he's got a pusher right behind him. And sideways is Busch.
Excuse me, Kyle's sideways loose. 1 lap to go. The race is official.
Logano well out front of Kyle Busch. The race is for third. Kurt Busch and Blaney.
Behind them, Ross Chastain 3 wide. Nobody surprised.
How about that restart? You knew it was going to be wild. Joey Logano. Those two were going for it. Joey did exactly what he needed to do.
Off turn 4, Joey Logano.
Yeah. Nice job, dude.
The Penske Ford Mustang, a winner in St. Louis.
Louisiana, baby! Let's go! Yeah!
29th career win for Logano.
Boy, those clips take for finally finish, right, Stephen?
Yeah, they just called it St. Louis, but it was in Madison, Illinois. It wasn't in St. Louis, but it was
Really?
right near. Yeah, they kept showing the arch. They kept showing that during practice, qualifying, and the race, and the other races that they had. Whatever, they kept showing it, but it's actually in Illinois. I don't know why they're saying that. I have no idea, but I can show you. I
So
can prove it.
talk
I have
about
it right
Joey
here.
Logano.
Joey
You have it right
Logano
there?
Joey Logano just killed me. I love Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch came in second. I had Kyle Busch
Right.
everywhere, all over the place. He should have won the race. He
Right.
was in the lead a lot late, and he was doing great. He should have won the race, but Joey Logano won. Nobody likes Joey Logano, like the tennis player that everybody hates, including Cousin Todd, the male guy. That's who Joey Logano is. Everybody hates him. He's just a jerk. He's just horrible, and he won. Good for him. But you know what was great about this? This race was incredible. Everybody talked before this race happened. This is the first time for NASCAR, for the big boys, to have this race for the next generation cars. They've never raced here before, and everybody said this could be a horrible race. It turned out to be one of the best races of the year because it's a mile and a quarter, and it's a small track, and people were getting upset during the race, and they were retaliating during the race. That never happens, to the point where they thought they were going to have to black flag a couple people because they kept trying to wreck each other during the race. The place was packed with people. They were going crazy. It was excitement throughout the entire race. And the race before that we weren't here for Memorial Day, it was Charlotte, and they had a car flip. I don't know how many times, just flip. The driver was okay, but you never see that anymore in racing. It was the most incredible racing for the last 2 weeks, actually for the whole year. The racing is good in the next generation cars. The rookies are adapting well. The older guys are used to the old stuff, and they're getting better as time goes on. But NASCAR has never been better, and it's so refreshing now because NASCAR had a lull for a little while, and some of the races were really boring. There has been one boring race this year out of 15 races. There's been one boring race, but the rest of them have been unbelievable, like something you've never seen. And it's doing so much for NASCAR right now, and people who got out of it are coming back now because the racing is so great. It's really great.
Well, they did report, I did read that they reported that they had the highest number of viewers in I don't know how long.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They had the highest number of viewers for this race. So who came in second? Do you know who came in second or third behind Joey Logano?
Kyle Busch came in second and broke my heart. I wouldn't have to work for 2 months if Kyle Busch had won. I had him everywhere because he was one of the odds-on favorite. He should have won. Joey Logano, he's great. He was an odds-on favorite too.
Right.
And he had a Ford, and everybody knew that a Ford was going to win this race before it started because they're dominating right now. But the best Toyota for that day was Kyle, and he absolutely should have won the race. It was very disappointing, and I had to watch it because I was doing something else on Sunday. I had to watch it late, and I told my son that even though whatever happens in this race, whatever hurts me at all, this is one of the best races I've ever seen in my life, no matter the outcome. And it turned out that way. It was great. Of course, it kicked me in the head, but it was a wonderful race. And this is what it's all about. So if anybody can go back and watch the highlights, or they can go back and watch the race some way, or Charlotte, or most of the other races this year, all except one, NASCAR is going through the roof right now.
So why it's going through the roof, but they also talk about a condensed weekend schedule, and Keselowski's not sold on it. What is he talking about?
Yeah, Keselowski understands that it's because of money, and it's because these smaller teams that don't have so much money, it helps them compete. It helps them not have to put so much money out that they don't have, and they may not be able to even race that week. He's a little bit bitter because he lost his ride last year, and he's in a lesser ride now, and he's not doing well this year. but he understands that everybody in this sport has to play by the same rules. And if everybody plays by the same rules, it doesn't give anybody an advantage. So say you used to practice for 50 minutes or 60 minutes, but now you can only do 20 minutes, then that's what you can do. And everybody has to do it. And that's what makes it really good. This is what's making racing really good right now, because everybody has to follow the same protocol as everyone else. And I think he's just being a little bit of brat, and I think he knows he is.
Okay. Well,
his name is Brat Kozlowski, not Brad Kozlowski.
Okay. Oh, Brat.
Brat.
All right.
He's a brat.
So let's talk about Todd. Let's talk about tennis. Watch this clip. Watch this clip.
Okay, go ahead.
Nous allons saluer l'arbitre de la rencontre, Monsieur Damien Dumusois.
Didn't have a lot to do, Damien Dumusois, but a mighty fine ref.
Finaliste du simple dame Roland-Garros 2022 pour sa première finale, n'a que 18 ans, Coco Gauff, États-Unis.
Huge draw. Sympathetic, empathetic crowd. They know what she must be going through. So much must be going on in her head.
Coco, please.
Okay, this is the first time for me, so let's try to get through this. First, I'm going to congratulate Iga. I mean, what you've done on tour the past couple months have truly been amazing, and you totally deserve it. And hopefully we can play each other in more finals, and maybe I can get a win on you one of these days. Next, I'd like to thank my team. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get this one today, but thank you guys for always supporting me, and hopefully this is the first final of many, and I really appreciate you guys a lot. You guys helped me so much throughout this year. And next, I would like to thank the tournament director over there, and all of the staff, and the ball kids, and the photographers. You guys got some good pictures of me. And most importantly, thank you, you guys. You guys supported me even when I was down. Even when I was down match points, you guys were still cheering me on, and that means a lot. So truly, thank you, and yeah, now thanks. I don't know where to go.
Thank you very much. Well done, Coco. Well done.
Okay, Cousin Todd, she looked like the next Venus or Serena Williams, Coco Gauff. She lost. She came in second place. Go ahead, Cousin Todd.
Okay, I'll start with the girls first. Yeah, she lost to Swinstica. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She came in second at the French Open. Jim, so it shows her progress. You know, she's only 18, Coco Gauff I'm talking about. Yep. And so hopefully she's the next Venus Serena.
Well, where was Venus and Serena?
They didn't play in the French Open. Now I think they're going to play in the U.S. Open, which we'll be going to.
But why
I
didn't
don't
they
know if
play in
we'll
the French Open?
I don't know. Why don't you call them and ask them?
They were
Well,
Federer didn't play either.
Well, you're such a Venus and Serena Williams fan. I thought maybe you would have the scoop.
No, ma'am. On to the men's. Nadal won.
Well, he's your favorite?
Yes, Nadal is one of my favorites. It's Nadal and Federer are my two favorites for the men. So he won. This is his 14th French Open championship, his 22nd Grand Slam championship overall. Djokovic and Federer each have 20 Grand Slams. So Djokovic, I don't like him. So as long as Nadal is over him, I'm happy. And Federer, I'm hoping Federer comes back for the U.S. Open. Now, I'm not sure yet, but I think Venus, Serena, Nadal, and Federer will all be at the U.S. Open. Fingers crossed. And Coco Gauff, of course. I hope she's there too. So that was it for the French Open. It was a exciting game in that I didn't know Nadal was going to win. I really didn't, because he has a problem with his foot. And he was playing Zurich. And that game was rough. But Nadal was holding his own, but Zurich rolled his ankle. So he had to come out. So anyway, it was a good game. I'm looking forward to the U.S. Open.
And Todd, I was all up on it myself. I had him as well. I had him winning the whole thing, and the Zurich match drove me crazy. It scared.
So
it scared
Stephen,
me to
wait,
death.
when you said you had him winning, are you betting?
Oh, absolutely. I had him winning. Absolutely. And I'm so glad Zurich rolled his ankle, because he might not have won. I was good. And I was good. Coco, when the match before the last match, I had her big. I love Coco. I'm all about Coco now. The whole time she was playing and doing well, I'm singing a song about Cocoa Puffs. I love her. I love her. And I hope she does well. But I didn't have her in the last match, because the woman she went against had won like 33 or 34 straight. And I'm like, I can't go against that. Somebody has a 34, 35 maybe. Do you know, Todd? It was a 30-something, right? I
didn't see her last. I don't know who she played.
On the last match, she played a woman who's won like 30-some in a row.
Oh, the last match that she just lost.
Yes.
Oh, her name is, I told you I couldn't pronounce her name, Sirkosk or something like that.
Yeah, but she hasn't lost in forever.
She's good. She's really good.
But Coco's the future, and it's going to make tennis fun. She's such a great person. You can just tell by listening to her. She's going to be great for tennis, and it's going to be a lot of fun with her in.
Look at that. Look how we all come together.
She's won 2 Grand Slams.
Yeah.
Look how it all comes
and
together.
18 years old. What a phenom. She's like Tiger Woods of tennis.
Right. So this sounds like to me,
she's the Williams sisters.
She's moving the Williams sisters out. Sorry, cousin Todd.
Yeah, but I mean, she might break all their records.
He hates to
and
hear
another
that.
girl I hope stays in is Osaka.
Naomi Osaka.
I'm hoping she does the U.S. Open. Nevertheless, it was an interesting game, and I'm glad Nadal won.
Yeah, me too.
More championships than anybody. So it's a good thing.
And
what are you talking about, Stephen? When I told you about Coco Gauff before, you were rolling your eyes and saying, "Who? Tennis? I don't even know who that is."
I don't think your memory's correct. I'm not going to say you're wrong.
Okay, you're a Republican, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I'm an
typical.
independent.
Filed a civil suit against the Kangaroo Committee on the Hill. 7 partisan Democrats, 2 Rhino Republicans. The essence of that civil suit was that the subpoenas issued by the committee are ultra-virus, unlawful, and unenforceable. And I made that case based on 4 legal arguments. The first is that this committee is neither duly authorized nor properly constituted, meaning that it doesn't follow the rules of either the House itself or the committee's own authorizing resolution. I would refer you to the civil suit, but it's H-Res 8 and H-Res 1037. I am not the only one who has filed to question the validity of that kangaroo committee. Nancy Pelosi herself calls that committee unprecedented, and she's absolutely right. The second point, and by the way, my book, Taking Back Trump's America, I need everybody in America to buy that book on Amazon today. That is for 2 reasons. One is that's going to be my legal defense fund, because these people are coming at me hard. Number 2, that book is about why we need to take the House of Representatives back from the kangaroos on Capitol Hill. The second case, part of the civil case, is simply that over a 5-year period, Congress has weaponized the investigatory powers of Congress in a way which is unconstitutional. The people of America need to understand Congress has the right to investigate, but only for non-punitive legislative purposes. What that kangaroo committee is doing right now is investigating for punitive purposes. They're essentially acting as judge, jury, and executioner. Their mission, their clear mission, is to prevent Donald John Trump from running for president in 2024 and being elected for president. And people like me are in their way, and they're not coming for me and Trump, they're coming for you. All 74 million of you who voted for Donald John Trump. Hang on, I'm not finished. You need to do your homework. Read that. That case went out, every one of you. I bet there isn't a single person in here who read that whole case. The third issue is that the Constitution is a prohibition against what's called bills of attainders. Okay? This is bills against undue punishment of citizens of this country.
Okay, so that was Peter Navarro. He is a former White House trade advisor and economist under former President Donald Trump. Cousin Todd, we'll start with you. I know you want to talk about his arrest. He claims, according to Newsweek.com, that he was strict his recent arrest for defying his congressional subpoena. Listening to what he just said, was he right in his kind of summation of what has happened to him? What do you
think? I think he's a con artist. And what he did was just babble a bunch of nonsense. And he's those kind of, you have these politicians who will say anything. That's who he is. I wish you had played the clip of him saying, "I'm a Hillary Clinton supporter." And I don't know why people don't like Hillary Clinton. I love her. She's the most classiest woman I've ever met. You got that, Stephen?
I don't care.
Oh, really? I bet you don't. So he's just a con artist, and he got caught. He's a nobody trying to become somebody, and sometimes there's a high price to pay. And so what happened with him is Donald Trump needed an analyst or some kind of I think it was an analyst and money advisor. So
trade.
His son trading money. So Donald Trump's son-in-law looked up somebody on Google and found him. And the rest is history. I think they didn't do much research because they would have found out that he was a Hillary Clinton supporter. And Hillary Clinton backed him. Of course, he was running for something and lost. And so, as a Democrat. And so, they don't do their research. They just, any quack that says America first, they'll accept him. And so now he's getting ready to go to jail for a year.
No.
And pay $100,000 fine.
No.
And he's not going to hire a lawyer. So what he
Stephen,
said was,
he was
buy
the
my
second
book.
ally.
He said, wait a minute, buy my book because I'm going to need that for legal. But he said he's going to defend himself. So he won't need a lawyer.
So, Stephen, he is the second person after Steve Bannon, the second ally of former President Trump to be charged with contempt of Congress for refusing to comply with the subpoena. He could have come directly. He could have gone directly to cooperate with the House of Representatives.
He did.
Wouldn't it have been better?
He did. The day before that, but the day before they arrested him, he reached out to them and said, I'll surrender. I'll surrender wherever you want me to surrender. This is what your media is not telling you. He said, I'll surrender. I don't care. I'll go wherever you wherever I need to. No, but what they wanted to do was make a spectacle. What they wanted to do is make a spectacle out of him, not Fox News. What they want to do is make a spectacle out of him. They wanted to arrest him, Stacey, at an airport. They wanted to arrest him. They wanted to put shackles on his feet, cuff his hands. They put him in a solitary confinement. They wouldn't let him have a lawyer, Stacey. They treated him like garbage because they're trying to intimidate him. But you can't intimidate him. I don't care what his past is. You know what, Todd? Donald Trump gave money to Hillary Clinton. None of these people are really pure. I don't care about that. What I'm saying is right now, what they did to Navarro was awful. They treated him like garbage, like they did the January 6 people that are sitting in solitary confinement for over a year, and they haven't even charged them with anything. This is not how you treat people in this country.
So yeah, I got Todd on mute because Todd, you were on mute because you were talking over him. He didn't talk over you, Todd. He let you finish your point.
That's because
so I was going to let him finish his point.
He talks crazy talk. The reason they arrested him is because he didn't show up. Why don't you try it, Stephen? Why don't you try not showing up for a subpoena and see what happens to you?
He wanted to turn himself in, but they wouldn't let him.
You know what? He wanted to. He changed it. You sound crazy.
He wanted to. He told him, "I will come tonight. I will come tonight." They told him no. They wanted to make a spectacle.
Change the rules. Stephen, would you stop talking so dumb?
I'm not.
They subpoenaed him. He was supposed to show up. He did not. Just like Steve Bannon did not. So now you get what you get.
It doesn't. In the big picture, Todd, none of this matters.
In the big picture and the smaller picture and the 2x5, you sound crazy.
None of this matters.
Show up when
Steve
you get
Bannon and this cat doesn't matter in the big picture, Todd.
Why did you tell me this?
You need something, Todd. I don't need anything.
Deluded, but tell me this. Why is it that you insist on being different than them? If you don't show up for a subpoena, you go to jail, poor boy. They don't. Why would you go along with that?
Why isn't Hillary in prison?
Oh, look at this. Dark web talk.
So let me tell you, we got a message from Keith. He's on his way to his studio. And when he gets to his studio, he'll join us. But he said Todd's ignorance of the Constitution is clear.
Always.
The Constitution's Bill of Attainder clause protects the right of citizens.
Not when you have a subpoena and you don't show up. You're not above the law. Now, of course, Dumb and Dumber is saying that.
Well, who put January 6th insurrection? Because it's not an insurrection, and the FBI said it wasn't an insurrection.
We're not there yet.
It's on my screen.
Web.
I put
We're not there.
It's on my screen. It's not an insurrection.
We're talking about somebody who's been subpoenaed.
He's
And
going to tear.
like I
He's going to
said-
tear them up. He's going to tear them up. They have nothing on
Listen,
him.
look at
He's
him.
going to tear them up. Just
babbling
wait,
about
Todd, and
nothing.
watch. He's
Talk
going to
about
tear
the
them up like a
subpoena.
tiger on a
What
mouse.
would happen to you, Stephen, if you ignored a subpoena? What would
He
happen
tried
to
to
you?
turn himself in.
What would happen to you? Why don't you Republicans ever answer a question?
I would have turned myself
What
in,
would
and they would have
happen
taken
to
me.
you?
I would have turned
All right,
myself
so
in.
I
and
gotta
they would have
move
taken
on.
me.
Okay, I said if you did not report and you had been subpoenaed, what would happen? You would go to jail.
Not if I
Because you're
turn,
a
not if I turn
typical
myself in later.
poor American. He did not show up, and nor did Steve Bannon. So what do you expect?
I thought Steve Bannon.
And then you're
did.
the same one who says, "Oh, they're above the law." Donald Trump and the rest
Hillary
of them.
Clinton.
He said they're different than we are. We would go to jail for that kind
They
of
are
stuff.
all of them in power are different than we are. They don't have to live under the
That's what
same
you
laws we
say.
do, Todd. It doesn't matter if it's
That's what-
Democrat or Republican. They don't have to live like we live.
So they may not live like we live, Stephen, but if that's the case, and
They're not above the
everyone
law.
shouldn't follow the law of the land of the United States. Is that what you're saying?
A lot
They
less
can
people are
choose not
stopping.
to?
A lot less people are not following the law of the land because
They
the
can
people
choose
in the
not
highest
to?
places never have to be condemned for what they do.
Which is what Stephen has always said.
Yeah, I'm still
But
saying it.
that's not fair. So, like I said, if you don't show up, you, Stephen, will go to jail.
No,
So
not if
now
I
that
tried
this-
to. Not if I tried to turn myself in. He
Stop
tried
it,
to turn
Stephen.
himself in,
Stop
Todd.
it. You
Todd,
did
if I
not
turned
show up
myself
when you
in
were
after the
supposed to show-
fact, they would take me.
Stephen,
And he tried to turn
if
himself
you
in,
have
and they
to show up
rejected
in
him.
court,
They
why don't
wanted
you
a
try
show.
it,
Todd,
Stephen?
this is all for show.
Why don't you try it?
Todd,
You
this
don't
is all
show
for
up
show.
for court and tell them, "Oh, I thought I'd come next week because
It's
I
all-
was
it's all a
busy."
show, Todd.
See what happens to you.
All right.
It's all a show.
Anyway.
Local man is being slapped with some of the most serious charges linked to the January 6th Capitol attack to date. 44-year-old Dominic Pizzola is now charged with seditious conspiracy, among other charges. Not only that, the federal indictment also groups him with some prominent members of the far-right group, the Proud Boys, including the group's former leader. Pizzola is already facing other charges linked to the attack, but these new ones accuse him of taking part in a conspiracy to oppose by force the transition of power from former President Trump to President Biden.
So since Stephen just stepped away for a minute, Todd, you want to talk about this sedition and how serious these charges of sedition are?
Absolutely. You know, they don't charge people with sedition ever since the 1800s. That's a serious charge. That means you have come against your own government.
So
When
you're
you-
almost saying, Todd, it's almost like treason.
Absolutely. And so when you prevent the peaceful transfer of power constitutionally, when you do that, you are committing sedition because power is transferred from one president to the next ever since we were founded. And when you try and block that, well, you're committing sedition. When you have people coming into a building planned to barge into a building by any means necessary, break windows, break doors, bombard the place, you'll have some idiots say, they were walking around, they let them in. But you'll see footage of them breaking the door down, breaking the window, and a girl jumping through that window and, of course, getting shot. And so when you do that, you're committing a crime. You're breaking the law.
All right. Okay, Todd.
These are representatives in that building, and they have to be protected.
Like children. They don't protect children like that.
Okay, so one
Who doesn't protect children like that?
excuse me,
Schools.
one definition of sedition is a conspiracy to engage in an unlawful act such as committing treason or engaging in an insurrection. When at least two people discuss plans to overthrow or take down the government, they are committing sedition.
Exactly what I said. It was planned.
Sedition is also the crime of revolting or inciting revolt against government. However, because of the broad protection of free speech under the First Amendment, prosecutions for sedition are rare. Nevertheless, sedition remains a crime in the United States under 18 U.S.C.A. Keith, these people should be prosecuted, correct, for what they were charged in? Yes. I mean, Stephen.
Yeah.
Keith
No, and no one has been charged thus far with an insurrection charge. No one has. That lets everybody know that's watching this show it wasn't an insurrection. An insurrection
what would you
means
call it?
that
What
the
would you
people would
call it?
come
A
in.
tour?
No, yes,
would you call it?
a lot of people were let in, and Donald Trump
So
tried
what
to get the
what
National
would
Guard
you
there.
call
If
it?
Donald Trump had the National Guard there, nobody would have gotten in that place. He wanted 20,000
He
people.
was too
He wanted
busy.
Donald Trump requested 20,000 people, and it goes to Nancy Pelosi and then somebody below her, and they said no, we don't want the National Guard because they wanted this to happen. Todd, use your brain, be an independent thinker.
They wanted
this
Mike
to happen
Pence?
because it was the worst thing that could have happened for Donald Trump and
Well,
anybody
you
that
just watch
supported him
Thursday
was
and
for
you'll get
people to
all of
go
your
off the way they
information.
did. That was the worst
Now,
thing
you
that
won't
could
be
have
able to
happened.
get it from Fox News.
All of us
Fox
who are
won't
independent
play it.
thinkers saw that when it happened. There was 17 to 24 leftist organizations that were there that day. There was over 1 million people there, Todd. A lot of that stuff that was led by violence was led by leftist organizations and the FBI. The same way.
But wait a minute. Where are you getting this information? You're saying that
I'll send
this
it all.
insurrection
You know the
was
Whitmer case
led by the FBI.
Do you know Governor
where
Whitmer?
are you getting this from?
Stacy, have you heard of Governor Whitmer?
From where? Michigan?
I think Michigan. Yes, they were going to kidnap her because they were mad at her. Well, that whole group that was going to kidnap her, 80% of them were the FBI. They had brought on 20% of the other people that were civilians to come in there.
Okay, so
January 6th was not an insurrection.
You got that truth from the dark web.
So,
all of this January 6th stuff is garbage.
So
watch
Keith said,
Thursday, and they'll tell you all about it.
So what's happening Thursday? Before I say what Keith said, Todd, what's happening Thursday?
Garbage.
Oh, they're going to garbage. Are you going to watch, Stephen?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch. It's gonna be a comedy.
You have to tell our watchers what's
okay.
happening.
I just wanted to get it straight whether or not he was going to watch. They're going to play the insurrection, the trial from that, and they're going to show all the evidence that they have, evidence that wasn't seen yet. And Fox News isn't going to be playing it, Stephen. So how are you going to watch it?
Okay, so Keith said this January 6th nonsense is just a distraction from the real sedition of Biden's policies that are moving the country further from its constitution.
Listen, wait till he gets on to Babylon like that. So now, in the meantime, it's coming on Thursday, and it'll be on prime time. And
it's a joke, right?
So no, it's not a joke. So let me wait a minute.
It's
Listen
a joke.
to this. Excuse me.
It's not even a real committee.
So
It's not even a real committee.
All right.
They want to show you what happened.
It's not even a real
watch.
Okay. I've got to put you all on mute. According to the NewYorkTimes.com article, Proud Boys charged with sedition and Capitol attack. This article was written January 6, 2022 by Alan Fuhrer, Adam Goldman, and Luke Broadwater. They said Enrique Tarrio, the former chairman of the Proud Boys, and 4 other members of the far-right group were indicted on Monday, which was yesterday, for seditious conspiracy for their roles in the storming of the Capitol on January 6 last year. Some of the most serious criminal charges to be brought in the Justice Department's sprawling investigation of the assault. The new indictment marked the second time a far-right group has been charged with seditious conspiracy in connection with the January 6th attack. In January, Stuart Rhodes, the leader and founder of the far-right Oath Keepers militia, was arrested and charged along with 10 others with the same crime. The charge of seditious conspiracy, which can be difficult to prove and carries particular legal weight as well as political overtones, requires prosecutors to show that at least 2 people agree to use force to overthrow government authority or delay the execution of U.S. law. It carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. So it may be hard to prove, Stephen, but it is something that the United States government, Department of Justice, did charge them with. So there's a pretty good chance that they can prove this.
No, the Department of Justice, everybody knows that 80% of the Department of Justice is corrupt. Everybody knows it's corrupt with the Democrat Party. We all know it is. And we all know what's
not
going
the Republican
on.
Party,
knows.
right?
The problem is everything is wide open right now. And everybody has educated themselves and they know what the truth is. And there's people in the Department of the FBI and the Department of Justice that are coming out and whistleblowing and saying, we all know this is a bunch of garbage. All of it is garbage. The FBI even said that January 6th was not an insurrection. People were not armed. Two women got killed. Armed. 2 women got killed by Capitol Police. And generally, everybody would be outraged by this, but they're not. But this is all garbage. And the whole committee that's doing this on Thursday night. They're not a real committee. This is not anything that went through Congress or the Senate or anything. This is kangaroo. This is third world garbage, and everybody knows it. Todd, you're in the 20%. I'm in the 80%. You're in the 20%.
Okay, cousin Todd, make your comment real quick. I'm going to move on.
I want you to realize something. I know you're a Republican, but I just want you to realize he babbles on and on and on and on, and you never mute him. It would seem to me you like listening to the dark web. So anyway,
who are you talking to? Keith or me?
It's FBI. The FBI. Everybody know. 80% know. The FBI. The FBI. They say no conspiracy. They say no insurrection. You're insane. Stay off the dark web and stay off of Fox News. Just watch Thursday. Watch all of the evidence, things that you haven't seen before, and listen. Watch and listen. And when you see people breaking down doors and fighting police, that's against the law. You said blue lives matter. All lives matter. Well, now the blue lives don't matter. And so you got to flip-flop like that in order to stay a Republican. America first. So these people barged into the building, broke down windows, climbed up the walls. Maybe you didn't see that, but you'll see it Thursday. Finally, he's on mute. You're on mute, ding dong. So,
2 more cases of the monkeypox virus are discovered in New York City, and that brings the total to 4, the most in the country.
CBS 2's Lisa Rosner reports this comes today as the World Health Organization addressed the situation.
As the number of monkeypox cases in New York City climbs to 4, medical staff at this urgent care on 9th Avenue in Hell's Kitchen are on alert for any symptoms. There was recently a false alarm.
We've seen a patient a week or 10 days ago who presented with monkeypox-like symptoms, with flu-like symptoms and rash. We use this swab, we scrape the skin lesions and put it in the test tube and send it to the lab.
Monkeypox is most commonly found in Africa and spread through skin-to-skin contact. Dr. Vino Pali believes it's only a matter of time until he sees someone who has it.
It's already there. All these cases are present, but we haven't detected yet. And also remember the incubation period for this virus is between 7 to 21 days. It's going to take some time for the rash to develop and cases to be seen.
The World Health Organization today said in the last few days, globally, cases jumped from a little more than 250 to 550. It presumes many cases are spreading undetected.
The fact that this virus has appeared in Europe in a large number of cases, an increasing number of cases, is clearly cause for some concern, and it does suggest that there may have been undetected transmission for a while.
Dr. Bruce Wiley with the CUNY Graduate School of Public Health says the CDC does have vaccines for people who may have been exposed. The virus was first found in humans in the 70s, and the public should know.
It's not the same thing as the coronavirus. This requires close contact to spread, so it's not as contagious. This virus doesn't tend to aerosolize.
A spokesperson for the city's health department told me the 4 people diagnosed with monkeypox are isolating, but he would not say whether they are hospitalized. He adds anyone who is feeling unwell should see a doctor for an evaluation. In Hell's Kitchen, Lisa Rosner, CBS 2 News.
And the World Health Organization says since cases began rising in May, no one has died.
Okay, so according to a New York Times article, monkeypox can be airborne too. An abrupt change in CDC guidance underscores a little-known phenomenon. On occasion, monkeypox can be transmitted through aerosols similar to the coronavirus. And this article was written by Apoorva Mandaville, written June 7th, 2022 at 5:18 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention updated its guidance last week for travelers wishing to protect themselves against monkeypox. This was one of its recommendations: wear a mask. Wearing a mask can help protect you from many diseases, including monkeypox. So, Aguna, are you wearing your mask so you will not get monkeypox?
No, I am not wearing a mask. I haven't even heard of this new thing, so I'm not even trying to worry about it right yet. But no, I wash my hands. I got all my booster shots. Until they tell me monkeypox is like an epidemic or something like that, I'm going to try to just stay healthy as much as I can, even though I just had the flu.
So. Yeah, I don't know how you get the flu. Didn't you get the flu shot? How do you get the flu when everybody wears masks mainly, and they've been guarding themselves very carefully against COVID?
How do you know it wasn't COVID?
I wasn't. I got tested, so it was flu A. It was flu A. So, yeah, I mean, I got kids, so kids. There's a lot of stuff going around. I know quite a few adults on my son's soccer teams and stuff like that had the same thing. So it was just one of those things where now that things are getting open a little bit, flu is coming back, colds coming back, allergies are coming back, all those things are coming back.
Well, we had a viewer who definitely asked and wondered how you were doing, hoping that you're doing well. So now the viewer can actually see that you are better.
I'm back. I'm feeling well. I'm feeling well.
Could it have been bird flu because you're an Eagles fan?
Yeah, I wish. No, it's not bird flu.
So
you just sick from not seeing the Eagles play in a while?
Yeah,
So, Stephen, I want to hear whether or not you believe in this monkeypox, because I think you said you didn't believe in the COVID.
Oh no, I believe monkeypox. Monkeypox is a real thing that's been a little bit prevalent in Africa, and it's shown itself in America a few times. But I've heard that some of the people on this show, not Aguna, and I don't know about Todd, how old he is. But if you've had a smallpox shot, if you were born before 1972, and I was, and
good Lord.
Yeah, so if you had the smallpox shot, you should be okay for anything that's monkeypox, and that it's more it's more of a thing that you can catch it when it's close contact. Maybe it's airborne now. I don't know. Maybe it's something we got to worry about in the future. I don't know, but I'm not too concerned about
it. Todd.
What? No, I'm not.
Why even ask you a question? I don't even bother asking you a question because you're never going to answer it.
I tell you what I just did. I just read somebody crazy had written something that caught my eye, and then I've just read the name. It was Keith, so I quickly deleted it before finishing it. So, nevertheless, this monkeypox is very scary. It is scary, only in that we haven't heard of it, though it's been around for 50 years. It hasn't been prevalent. And though I don't believe it came from Africa, everything
It
came from
does.
Africa.
It does.
Get out of my face. Every
Yeah, they're
disease
trying
came from Europe.
specifically they had
Do your
cases in
do your
Nigeria.
research, Todd.
So we have
I do my research.
we have
and
Keith
No, you
on.
didn't.
Can't,
No, you
Hey,
didn't, Todd. Your knee-jerk research.
Stacy doesn't want me to
Excuse me?
finish.
No, she
That's
doesn't
right.
because you're an embarrassment.
So I'm gonna have Keith. Keith, you want to make your comment? Is monkeypox real? Keith is going to be talking to us, but we're not going to be able to see him because he's not in his studio. Go ahead, Keith.
Yeah. Right now, I'm stuck. My wife and I are stuck downtown LA. They got some stupid summit going on, probably some climate change summit or some crap.
Or maybe it's a high school graduation.
Anyway, I doubt it. They don't have that. They don't.
Or maybe it's a Trump
They don't have
rally.
high schools in LA.
Maybe it's, don't
No,
be
they
so
wouldn't-
angry all the time. Don't be angry at society for having events.
Summit.
So, Keith, did you
definitely a
vote?
summit.
Did you and your wife vote?
Yeah, we just voted. That's how we got stuck down here. We had to vote,
Okay.
so we got all that done. But anyway, yeah, the monkeypox is. I mean, don't get mad at me, Todd, because I'm only going by the information that I heard. You guys can correct me.
Where did you hear it? From the dark web or Fox News?
No, I heard it from the media, the regular liberal
Fox
media.
News.
Not Fox. It was the liberal media, and they said that it had something to do with. They were talking about the homosexual activity. In other words, some kind of sexual transmission is how it.
No, that's not true. And Stacy,
Okay.
don't allow him to put that.
No,
kind of nonsense out
they
there.
said that
You
was
can-
true.
Hey,
They
hey,
said
hey,
that
hey,
was
hey.
true, Todd. They said that
Steven,
about a week ago.
Stop licking behind Keith. He's not going to marry you.
No,
Listen
it's some people not
You
doing it
can
doggy style.
get-
They were doing it monkey style.
Listen to me. You can get that from close contact. Didn't you just hear what Stacy read?
Yeah, but it was
Sometimes
the
it could be-
homosexuals were having more of
Okay,
it more
shut
often
up.
than other people. It was more,
Sometimes it could be
homosexuals were getting more than
airborne.
anybody else.
How would you know all about that? You and Keith killed me. You know so
Yeah,
much about these.
Hey, look, guys,
Anyway.
I didn't make it up. I'm just saying I'm just reporting what I heard. That's all.
I know. That's
So
what
go
you
ahead,
heard
Todd.
from Fox
Hurry
News.
up, Todd.
Well, mute them like you love to mute me. Mute the radical Republicans. What I'm saying is you can get that through close contact, shaking hands. But doesn't have to be sex, even though Keith and Stephen love to imagine all that.
Okay, well,
But it doesn't, it's not the only way you can get it. And the other thing I was saying is, I don't believe that comes out of Africa. They want to put everything in Africa. And diseases came out of Europe. Sorry, not sorry.
Oh, well.
They didn't even.
Herd immunity has helped eradicate many diseases throughout history, but unfortunately, that's not the case with COVID. Here's how herd immunity works and why sometimes it doesn't. Herd immunity occurs when a high percentage of a community is immune to a disease through either vaccination or previous illness, making the spread of the disease unlikely. When it comes to COVID-19, even if a high percentage of the community has some type of protection, it's still unachievable. That's because of COVID's ability to continually mutate into new variants, preventing long-term protection. Immunity is achieved at the individual level through the presence of antibodies. When you're exposed to a new disease, either through infection or vaccination, white blood cells make specific fight-ready proteins called antibodies. They fight the invading toxins by binding to them and neutralizing or destroying them. After that first exposure, your body makes memory cells. If you're exposed to a particular disease again, your body will recognize it and fight it off. Measles, polio, and chickenpox are all diseases which have achieved herd immunity in the US through vaccination. But the reason why these vaccines have stood the test of time is because these viruses only have a few strains. Health officials began administering COVID vaccines at the end of 2020, but since then, scientists have discovered at least a dozen new variants. These new strains have been more transmissible and contain mutations that are thought to evade some pre-existing immunity from previous infection and vaccination from the original strain of SARS-CoV-2. Health experts say it's unlikely to achieve herd immunity with COVID-19, but it's still important to stay up to date with current vaccines and boosters to reduce the risk of severe illness, hospitalization, and death.
Hey, thanks for watching.
If you like this video, check out these other videos from USA Today to stay up to date with all the latest news.
So, Aguna, so wouldn't that kind of make Stephen and Keith's argument for people not to get the vaccine now when they don't think that we're going to be able to reach herd immunity?
Well, of course, if you listen to what the article is saying, is that because people don't have the vaccine and we're not trying to prevent the spread, that's why we're not going to get herd immunity, because it's going to allow the virus to continue to mutate. That's what happens. So it's going to be, not only is it going to not help you achieve herd immunity, but it's going to mutate and start to evade many of the vaccines and boosters. Now, people like Keith and Stephen are going to be like, well, that's why the vaccines and boosters don't work, right? They're going to use that to validate their arguments from the beginning that things are a hoax and things don't work properly. But they're actually enabling the issue by not getting vaccines. And if you listen also to the article, it's saying, bottom line of it, yeah, we won't reach herd immunity. COVID is going to be around for a while because, again, people do not want to be on lockdowns like in China. People do not want to have to wear masks, it seems, even if it's protecting themselves and their loved ones. So as long as we're not taking the preventative measures and we're making it a political issue instead of a public health crisis, which is what it is, we're going to continue to see, politicizing of just the measures to prevent the spread versus just using common sense and saying, okay, let's do what it takes to stop this thing from happening.
Right. And
Stephen,
let me just add that Keith already got his vaccine.
We know.
What's your point, Todd?
We know, Todd.
But he didn't get the booster, though. He's refusing to get the booster.
Stacey, let me also say what I heard. What I heard in that report you just played was very important. I think that Aguna left out was the immune system, and we have a natural immune system, a God-given immune system, and we can't just write that out of the picture. And
do you know what COVID does?
1 million or
do you know what COVID does? COVID
Stacey,
attacks the immune system.
Stacey, let me finish, please.
Okay,
We can't just discount the natural immune system that God has given
that
us.
COVID attacks.
That is to recognize. That is
that
to
COVID attack.
What Keith is trying to say is,
oh God,
COVID, and then
Stacey, can I?
I can't hear you, Stephen.
I can't hear you because your boyfriend's jumping in trying to.
No, Stephen is right. Stephen knows what I'm trying to say. And you guys discount the natural immune system, which is a big mistake, because the natural immune system can recognize that, you heard it, the proteins in the immune system recognize it and attack, and they attack the virus. So that is, at some point, that has to be to bring immunity, herd immunity. And that you are leaving out. And that is a mistake. You shouldn't leave that out.
All right. So go ahead, Stephen.
That helps with immunity. Herd immunity.
What's your point, Stephen?
That if you don't get the shots and you get sick with this, then you get immune from getting it again, and then you help to help the development of herd immunity. That's scientifically proved.
Okay,
I'll show you.
Yeah, but that's not currently true with COVID. Aguna, do you want to explain why that's currently not true with COVID? The Omicron variant is, if you get Omicron and you get the specific BA2 variant and you get over it, you can get it again. Go ahead, Aguna.
I mean, the bottom line, and this is where, people who just want to argue just for the sake of arguing, completely miss the fact of what COVID does and how it affects people differently, right? And the fact that you're getting the vaccine to begin with is not to stop you from getting the disease. It actually helps you not get hospitalized. So when you hear Keith and Stephen, I mean, it's almost comical and hilarious to hear Keith talk about proteins and antibodies and that stuff he knows nothing about. Because if he knew anything what he was talking about, you have to understand that COVID affects people differently. It actually weakens the immune system, so you're susceptible to other things, sort of like the HIV virus, in which, you can't breathe. Your body reacts to the fact that your body is reacting to COVID actually says that sometimes a hypersensitive immune system actually kills you, because that's why your lungs swell. That's why you have trouble breathing, because your immune system that Keith and Stephen are talking so highly about that's going to protect you is actually reacting to the virus and causing you to die. So that's why you got to be careful careful. You're sitting here trying to use terms you don't understand. But at the end of the day, those that understand COVID and have talked to doctors, who have friends of doctors, who understand what the disease is actually about, know that this is all nonsense. You want to get vaccinated, you want to prevent the spread, and you want to prevent the mutations that are evading the vaccines. That's how it's always done. Not just COVID. Look at all the other viruses that we've successfully have worked against using vaccines. But because this COVID issue has become a Democrat versus Republican issue and conservative versus freedom and all these other things, you stop using common sense and you just thrown out thousands of years of science and math and medical research because you're looking at, hey, how does it make me emotionally feel about the issue today? Or how can I stop someone from telling me something to do who's actually more, who's actually more of an expert on the subject than you, because you don't want to listen to doctors because they're elitists and all these other things. You want to make a point on the show versus using common sense.
Okay, watch this.
The very first one Costco that I got is the formula is here, so I think it's going to be not difficult for anybody at the stages to come over and try to get something.
I don't know anyone who has problems finding.
Well, right now when I got the formula, I seen 2-3 people getting formula from the other side.
Down here, yeah, I know a lot of them come to Tijuana to buy.
This one, it's the number one. They have 1, 2, and 3. It's easy. They have it everywhere, at the pharmacies, any store. It's just expensive.
For me, it wasn't difficult. Here in Tijuana, we can find it in the pharmacies or our local mall, like Walmart. So we just go and buy it. It's a little bit expensive, but we can get it.
He's not able just to get it in the States, and because he knows that right here in Tijuana, it seems that there are plenty of it. Well, he just asked me like 2 hours ago, now that I'm in Tijuana, if I would be able just to stop by the local Costco store to see if I can buy the formula for the babies.
One of my friends, she lives in LA, so she's having problems with that because they're out of formulas. I buy it here on Costco and TJ, so I don't have any problems with that. If they're having problems finding their formula U.S., so they can just cross the border and then buy it here in pharmacies or any store. You can find it.
For me, it's easy because the pharmacy near to my house is always, they always have the formula in stock. In my experience, I haven't had problems, but I know a lot of moms from a Facebook group who live in the USA, and they're like crazy trying to get the milk. And in my case, I buy formula from a pharmacy, so I don't have problems. But I know there's a problem.
So, okay, that was Fox News. Let's start with Stephen. Why is it, we still have this baby formula shortage? This is really, really big. At some point, as infants, probably had baby formula. And for our babies in the United States who have allergies and can't have certain types of formulas, they still need these formulas. Why is it that Mexico has plenty of baby formula, but the United States doesn't, Stephen?
Something has to do with, we have to make sure that these people coming through the border have enough of everything they need. This is the way America is. We're a great country, and we help people out that way. We have pallets and pallets and pallets and pallets full of formula that are on the border of Mexico, that are in, and also in Mexico, that this is how we help people out without regard to our own people. What do you mean? What am I talking about?
So wait a minute. So the formula's in Mexico, right?
Right, but I'm saying there's
And
also
Canada.
we have a lot of formula right on the border of Mexico that for the
What?
babies that
Where?
are coming through our borders, we make sure that we take care of them as well as we do with everything
So
else.
Costco at the border is helping smuggle in
It's
legal
not
immigrants into this
Costco. It's not
country.
Costco. It's formula companies that are there that
They
are
were just
helping
at
out.
Costco.
Huh?
They
That
were
was
just at Costco
Costco.
and equipped. What are you talking about?
Costco's at
Are you
Costco.
blaming
Okay.
Costco for illegal immigration?
No, I'm not blaming. I'm blaming Joe Biden for illegal immigration.
Of course. I was
Yeah,
waiting
who
for
would you
that.
blame? Donald Trump at this point for illegal
So
immigration?
let me ask. So excuse me. Let me ask
We're
Keith.
talking
Keith,
about
you're
baby
in
formula first,
California.
man.
Keith,
You had
you're
to
in
take it there
California.
because
I
you
don't
heard
have any
Mexico.
Wait a
babies.
minute. Excuse me. Keith is in California. Keith, in
Yes, ma'am.
California, when you go shopping, do you see baby formula on the shelves, or do you hear of people that go get baby formula from south of the border from where you are?
No, I don't see any baby formula on the shelves. I mean, I probably don't shop at the normal stores. I go to Whole Foods and
Are you looking for it?
health food stores, things like that. So I'm not really looking for it in particular.
Okay.
But
Thank you for being
all
honest.
all I can say to that is all of this is orchestrated. There's no way that the greatest country in the world. Oh well, we used to be, right, Steve? Used to be the greatest country in the
Yes.
world, and there's no way that
Cue
America,
the fear mongering.
of course, maybe to Aguna, we still are the greatest country in the world. So
Oh,
maybe
we absolutely are.
there's no
We
way
absolutely are.
that we should have a shortage of. This is nonsense. When are people going to wake up? I mean, this is all created.
It's
all
nonsense
orchestrated.
that what? What
This
is
is all-
nonsense?
What's
That
nonsense?
the
Explain
This
yourself.
is all
that there
being
was contamination.
orchestrated for us to live a lower standard of living, a lower standard of living for all of us. That's what it's
And
at.
who
Did you know
and
there was
is this
contamination in the plant?
That's
And
why I
that's
say
why
that's why I say the real insurrection is the
it's
Joe
coming from
Biden.
Mordor? It's coming from
Okay,
Mordor and
Stacey,
Sauron
you've
and
got to move
everybody else
on
from Lord of the Rings
because
and
this
Nobody
is
All right.
going
is
in
Lord of the
circles.
Rings.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Aguna, real quick, and then Cousin Todd.
Stacey,
Why do
well,
they have
Stacey,
more?
here's the thing. There's supply chain issues going on, supply and demand. You had a recall. And then again, this is the free market we're talking about. Now, maybe Keith and Stephen may want to talk about the FDA and how the FDA found this contamination and forced Abbott Labs to stop
Shut down.
production because it was a health crisis and babies were dying and getting sick.
But it was
So
unfounded. It was unfounded, Aguna.
it was not unfounded.
It was.
The
Now,
dead babies
their
were
reaction
There were
to
no
unfounded.
dead babe. There were no bad reactions from that formula. That was
if
all
it's
a
a
lie.
supply chain issue, Abbott Laboratories should be liable because they're the ones that had the recall. They had to do the recall and they had to supply. I mean,
They went in there. They went in
what
there and
you should be
inspected it.
angry
They
at is
inspected the
that the
place and
fact.
said there was nothing wrong.
Look, but here's the thing, and this is what you guys aren't talking about. The fact
There
that you
was a
only had that
whistleblower.
one, the fact that you only had that one manufacturer making all this formula, why is that? So Keith is sitting there, it's trying to talk about this greater society trying to keep us down. No, it's actually lobbying. It's actually these companies getting these contracts and being sole source. It's monopolies. It's free market stuff that's going on, but not really free market stuff because there's no competition. Okay, you only got one manufacturer or a few manufacturers making this baby formula, and that's because they successfully lobbied in order to corner that market. And and then again, Keith may be like, hey, there's too much regulation, but there's not enough because you're not creating an level playing field for other manufacturers to get involved to drive the prices down and to create more supply. Now the demand is manufactured because you only have a certain amount of suppliers. So when you have something like a recall, you don't have those many different options. And in Mexico, they have different regulations, if not any or whatever. So they may be able to get access to certain ones that have been recalled in the U.S.
Let me get Todd in here. Todd, do you want to say why we don't have this?
Yes, because like Aguna was saying, I said from the beginning, we needed at least 10 different manufacturers. That way, you're not making one company rich. Spread it
but
around.
why does Mexico have it? It's the same number of manufacturers. Mexico has plenty of baby formula. Canada has plenty of baby formula.
They have different kinds of baby formula.
Yeah, but
There's different kinds and there's different regulations and different people are making it.
So Americans could go and make, I mean, and get the baby formula from Canada or from Mexico, depending upon where they are in the United
Well,
States.
the same reason
Why
why.
do they have it
But
and we
hold on.
don't have it?
I know the conservative populist on this show clearly would want American companies to profit from American markets, right? So where you have Mexico, where there's probably outsourced companies down there making the same formula, but you can't sell it in the US because of regulatory requirements and because of Buy America and because certain companies want you to buy in the US versus overseas. So, that's not necessarily a Democrat Republican thing. That's a corporate American lobby pushing legislation that allows them to be sole sourced or to have these particular markets, such as the United States. Same thing that happened in the auto industry back in the 80s, back when people, you didn't want to import cars from Japan. Now Japanese manufacturers move their manufacturing to the US. So even a Toyota is technically an American car because it's built in the US. So those are the type of things that, that impact the supply chain and supply and demand. And then when you have a recall because of a health issue or because of a violation of safety, you're going to have this whole backlash and a whole create the crisis that we have today.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Cousin Todd, how much do you pay at the gas pump per gallon for gas?
I don't know. But
right.
before we move on, I just wanted to finish that out by saying
You can't
I
finish
do blame the
anything out and
government.
hijack my point.
I
my
do blame the
gosh.
government for not spreading that wealth around. 4 companies is not enough. So
Okay.
that was to
But
end
what about
that.
the jobs they
my
create?
whole subject. You hijacked my whole thing. Aguna,
What-
how much
what
do
are you
you
talking
pay?
about?
I asked about paying at the pump.
Yeah, but I just
Aguna,
finished that.
how much do you pay at the pump per gallon?
It's about $5.50 a gallon, premium gas.
All right, premium gas. Oh,
Between $5.50, but regular gas is about $4.79.
Okay, so Keith, how much do you pay at the gallon in California for your gas?
Well, it depends on where you go. There are places where we're paying up to $7 a gallon, but pretty much we pay around $6.20, $6.50 a gallon. So someplace
Okay,
there's
Cousin
7.
Todd, do you know
Yeah.
how much you pay per gallon for your gas?
No, and I'm not quite as poor as Stephen and Keith, so I don't keep up with it like that.
Okay. I pay about $4.50 for regular gas in the Philadelphia, New Jersey, Delaware area. But let's look at this.
The average price of gas in Spokane County is now over $5 a gallon. Right now, you can expect to pay around $5.10 a gallon. That's up $1.80 from this time last year. And that's according to AAA. Prices in Idaho are a bit better due to a lower gas tax. In Kootenai County, you can expect to pay around $4.89 a gallon, which is up $1.83 from last year. With the midterm elections only a few months away, the Biden administration says that fighting inflation is now their top priority.
We have a strong economy now. People are working. Inflation's a problem. I will grant you that, and we will get it under control because we're going to stick with it until we do.
Okay, so how exactly are they supposed to get that under control, Keith?
Well, they're
Gas
lying
prices
to
in
you.
America.
They're not going to get it under control if they were to go back to what Trump had in
Like
place
what?
and go back to drilling. If they would start drilling again, if they start becoming more energy independent.
Do you know how long it would, how many years it would take?
That's not true.
Oh, it wouldn't take years because Trump already had it in place. All he had to do was
That's
leave.
not true.
And
Can we
it did-
dispel this myth?
So,
Can we dispel this myth?
That, of course, is Aguna's going to sit here and lie, and he's
No,
going to
I'm
say,
not. It's the
but
truth.
it's really true. The truth is that we should be energy independent. We should create our own.
What does that even mean? What does that mean?
What that means is we go after our own energy the way God intended for us to do, and that we
do. We do.
No, we don't. We don't do enough of that. He
So
already
we don't
No.
process the sun. We don't have electric. We don't have any of that stuff.
Example. Let me give you an example, Stacy. I'll give you an example. in Los Angeles, California. They're telling us they will cut off our water if we don't cut back on the use of it. Now, every time it rains, on those occasions that it rained out here in California or in Los Angeles, or when we got snow up north, they don't capture the water because all the dams that were built to capture the water, they have taken down. They have dismantled pretty much. So that means that we are not collecting our water. We're not preserving water. So
okay, we're having reverb. All right, we're having reverb, Keith. Keith, we were having reverb. It was like coming back.
It was crazy. It was like the 1960s, Keith.
Yours is doing the same thing, Stephen. That's really weird.
What's going on? On.
When you start lying, that's what happens. You get this echo. You're echoing the lies.
And we can desalinize the water and change it into
Stacy's voice is fine.
You're not.
Oh.
Yeah, there is some back. There's some back thing.
I don't know what's going on. Oguna, you want to take it from here about the gas prices?
Again, okay. So for all our listeners, let's just understand, if you're a gas company, you're an oil company, and you have something that everyone buys, and you can actually set the price for it, because thanks to the Obama administration, you can export now. That's why the U.S. is becoming a top exporter of energy. So you can export gas, you can refine it, export it to Europe, and get a higher profit versus selling it domestically. This whole garbage about let's drill more, there are 10,000 licenses right now that the oil companies aren't using. Because guess what? An oil company sets the price and they can set the demand because everybody has it. So there's really no incentive for them to drill more. They just have to just trade on the global market. Why not? I mean, it's just like if I have something that everybody wants and I can sell it however high I want.
Jeez.
I have to do. I have to ship it. I have to, refine it. I have to put it in a pipeline. There's all these liabilities versus just sitting on my reserves that I have and slow walking it into the global market and making 3 times as 4, 5, 10 times as much. You can't be energy independent in the U.S. because of the free market. Oil companies don't want to be energy independent. They want to be able to sell to the highest bidder in Europe, in Asia, wherever. So to this whole idea of being energy independent, in which, actually, if you want to be independent as a consumer, buy a Tesla, put some solar on your roof. There are things you can do.
Tesla. You can also do, Toyota has an electric car.
Exactly.
You
can lower your carbon footprint. You can lower your carbon footprint because I want Keith or Stephen to tell me, how are you going to force oil companies to sell lower domestically and not become a socialist country?
Why didn't we have this under Donald Trump? Because he let everything flow.
We did have it under Donald Trump.
No, we didn't have this under Donald Trump.
First thing, there's 2 things that happened. The pandemic, people started working from home, right? So you didn't have people traveling as much. So oil companies lost a lot of money. So now that things are back to normal or getting back ramped up again, they're making their profits back.
Cut off all of the drilling. Biden cut off the drilling everywhere.
Drilling where? What about these unused lights?
Night, what a great game. NBC Bay Area's Marianne Favreau leads our team coverage from Chase Center.
Wow, what a game. At one point, I had goosebumps. It was so loud and intense in here. Yes, it was a nail-biter in the beginning, but then a big finish by the Warriors, and now fans couldn't be more thrilled that their team emerged with a win.
James McClanahan of Vallejo spent the Warriors game on his feet, yelling coaching advice from the stands. And he admits he was worried when the Celtics quickly got the lead.
I was nervous, but I'm not nervous anymore.
That's because this is how the game ended.
The game was outstanding. We played like we were supposed to have played. We did good. We were a better team. We knew we were the better team all along. From the first game, we should have won that one too. They got lucky that first game, but we got this.
Maria Brandstrom traveled all the way from Canada to watch the game and says she quickly went from nervous to making a bold prediction about what's next for the Warriors.
What makes you so sure?
The talent on the team, the history, the amazing coaching, and the energy in this room. The fans make it.
This is the first time the NBA Finals have been played at Chase Center in San Francisco. Vince Larkin has been to nearly every Warriors Finals since he was a kid and says he couldn't miss this one.
All my life, you know, Cow Palace, growing up, you know, the Coliseum, all of it, you know, it's just so great.
The Chan family marked their first NBA Finals game with photos.
And I'm excited to see Steph Curry and like Draymond Green.
Watching the team bring home a big win was just confetti on the playoff cake as they learned what it's like to be gold-blooded.
The Warriors now head to Boston for Game 3. I've talked to several fans who already have their bags packed and plan to join them to cheer the team on in Boston. At Chase Center, Marianne Favreau, NBC Bay Area News.
Okay, Aguna, tell us, why is this important for the Celtics to win this title more so than it is for the Warriors, Golden State Warriors?
Well, the Celtics have a legacy. Before I get to that, though, word for fact, the Biden administration has approved more leases than the Trump administration has.
That's
so
not true. That's
anyway,
not
back
true.
to the Warriors.
It doesn't matter.
Look it up.
It doesn't matter that
Getting back to this.
They're not letting them drill.
I get my news from CNBC. You know, hey, that's just saying. That's what it is. I know I'm going to get your
That's
goat.
why you're paying $5 for gas.
Look how red he's getting. Look how red he's getting. Look how red he's getting when he hears the truth.
Gas because you're right.
Let me talk about the Golden State Warriors. Okay, let's bring down the temperature so that Mr. Redman over there doesn't get mad when he hears the truth. So here's the thing. So the Celtics have a legacy of winning, so they want to win this title. I mean, Golden State is more of the popular, more recent type champion with Steph Curry and everything. You know, I really don't like the Celtics being a Sixers fan, but you know, they are a championship title town when it comes to NBA in Boston. So, I think it's important to their legacy. And you also got to realize that they built this team from the ground up. They didn't necessarily go out and you see all these big mega free agent deals and trades coming around. They actually came together and built this team pretty much organically through a process which the Sixers could have followed. But I think that's one cool thing about Boston. Again, Golden State is more of the sexy pick because of Steph Curry. I mean, and I know what's his name is not there. Durant's not there anymore, but it's one of those things where you have this East Coast versus West Coast at its core, right? So we'll see what happens.
All right. Thank you. Now let's move on.
In the past 3 weeks, more than 70 people have been killed in mass shootings. The most recent at a medical center in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where 4 people were murdered by a man said to be a disgruntled patient. Police say the gunman then killed himself. He'd bought one of his guns just a few hours before.
We know through the help of our ATF and their gun tracing that at 2 p.m. on June the 1st, Mr. Lewis purchased a semi-automatic rifle from a local gun store.
The same weapon was used to kill 19 children and 2 teachers at a Texas elementary school last week. The same weapon used to murder 10 people at a grocery store in Buffalo, New York, 10 days before that. In both cases, the alleged gunmen were just 18 years old. The Texas shooter killed at the scene. The Buffalo shooting suspect was arraigned on murder charges Thursday. In a rare primetime address to the American people, President Biden urged Congress to impose federal gun controls, suggesting a ban on automatic weapons and high-capacity magazines, raising the age at which an individual can buy a gun from 18 to 21, and removing the protections against litigation enjoyed by gun manufacturers.
They had one message for all of us. Do something. Just do something. For God's sake, do something.
Some of these measures suggested by President Biden are already being debated and may well be passed in the Democrat-controlled House of Representatives. But they're likely to be blocked by Senate Republicans who were a particular target of President Biden's anger.
But my God, the fact that the majority of the Senate Republicans don't want any of these proposals even to be debated or come up for a vote, I find unconscionable. We can't fail the American people again.
A message, too, for the American people, that the majority should act and turn their outrage into making the issue central to their vote. Mike Hanna, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Okay, we'll start with Keith. This will be our roundtable topic. We're running out of time. Gun violence in America. You don't see this happen in any other country, really, but America. And our thoughts and prayers do go out to, I know Todd talks about people tired of hearing that, but our thoughts and prayers do go out to the victims of gun violence. How do we stop this? And how do we get the Democrats and the Republicans to come together and work on legislation to stop this outrageous violence in America?
Well, getting them to come together, first of all, there is no legislation, no amount of legislation. I repeat, no amount of legislation, in addition to what's already on the books, is going to stop it. Okay? They need to arm law-abiding citizens to be able to protect themselves and others who can't protect themselves. Let those who want to be able to protect themselves so that they will know how to handle a situation. And we should be armed and trained. George Washington even said that. And I agree with George Washington and the founders, because that's what they intended with the Second Amendment laws. The criminals are breaking laws. That's why we had the events that occurred, because criminals don't follow laws.
Okay, thank you. Stephen.
Well, to get on this school thing, for the last decade that I've been doing this show, I've been touting the fact that we need to secure the schools. And this last thing that happened in Texas was a door was open. A guy could go through an open door. There should be one door. They should secure these schools the same way you would a bank or anything else that has valuable things that are in it. And these little kids are valuable. Nobody wants to see these kids shot up. That's where you need to start. But Joe Biden or the left, the Democrats, any of them, none of them said that they want to try to harden the schools and make those less easy targets for anybody. And that's where you need to start, because there's so many weapons. There's more weapons than there are Americans in this country. You're not going to stop the weapons. There's no law that's going to be made that's going to stop weapons. But what you got to do is the things that are precious to us, like our children, we need to make sure that they can't get just wiped out by some deranged idiot in a school shooting. That's ridiculous. And everything else is just semantics. Any gun could kill anybody. Any car could kill anybody. Any knife could kill anybody. Anything can kill anybody. So what we need to do is fortify, have more security, and try to make it better for people who have to suffer through things like this. You know, if people are like they were at a Christmas thing where they're outside and it's hundreds of them and they're old ladies and they're celebrating Christmas and they get run over like they did, I think it was in Wisconsin, because the guy didn't like the certain type of people that they were, because he was a certain type of person. So he just ran over them with his car, injured a bunch of people, killed a bunch of people. It doesn't matter if it's a gun, a car, a knife, bombs. It doesn't matter what it is. What we have to do is try to have more security in this country. And like Keith says, have more people that are willing and armed and trained, that are going to be in every situation and try to help people. You better not say one word to me, Stacey, and
I'm going to talk for 40 minutes straight.
I'm done.
Oh, no, you not. Oh, you best not to.
And these are my shooting glasses that I practice with, by the way.
Go ahead, Aguna.
Yeah, and you're wearing them in your basement, in your separate.
Yeah, I thought we talked more about guns. I thought we talked more about guns. I put on my
web.
shooting glasses, and plus it's for fashion. For Todd would enjoy them as well.
Go ahead, because
Here's the thing, and see, this is what happens when you can't even have an educated debate around this issue, right? So it's got to be either or. You got to harden the schools first, and before you even talk about any type of gun control, you can do both. I mean, bottom line of it is, it shouldn't be a situation where if you bring up the word gun control, all of a sudden there's this whole rabbit hole of, oh, you're taking away my Second Amendment right. No, what is happening is there are things that are going on that we need educated solutions around. And believe it or not, Democrats are Americans too, and they have a vote, they have a say. And a compromise is not a bad word. In fact, the compromise is what came up with the Constitution to begin with. And if you look at the Second Amendment, it says regulated militia. Regulated militia. By who? Obviously, is the government. So it obviously is not necessarily infringing on your right just to say that, hey, you need a license to have a gun. What's wrong with that? I mean, what's wrong with, hardening the schools, making the schools more like prisons, right? Because that's the solution, because there's no other viable way to even have a debate around this. There are certain guns that you even talk to law enforcement that they don't want the public to have. Oh, but it's bad because we toe the blue line when it comes to things like BLM and things like that. But when they say, hey, you don't need to have these type of guns on the street because it makes our job harder, all of a sudden law enforcement becomes an arm of the man or the arm of tyranny trying to suppress us. So you can't have it both ways. All we're saying is that there needs to be some background checks. There need to be some flags. There need to be just some common sense solutions around gun control to try to prevent. Because Keith is right. Criminals are going to break the law regardless, right? They're not necessarily, these gun control things aren't to punish citizenry, but there is liability associated with you if your gun is used in a crime. If your gun, the gunman, all these different things are happening because, these guns, a good person with a gun can turn into a bad person with a gun in a split second of an eye, just based on a emotional state or decision. So to sit here and say we need more guns, we need teachers to have guns in the classroom. We need to, because teachers during a mass shooting need to be looking for a gun to go shoot the shooter versus trying to make sure that their students and things are safe, because that's what the teacher's job is to do, is to protect the kids, not with a gun, but to try to make sure that these kids aren't by the windows, to try to get them evacuated. But no, we want the teachers to run towards the firing like a police officer or law enforcement should. All I'm saying is, look, we need to have a debate around gun control. That's not a bad thing. I think there's some compromises that need to be had, and it shouldn't be the Democrats on the left want to take your guns and take everything and change our way of life and all. No, it's like, bottom line of it is, you talking about needing a license to vote. You don't need a license to have a gun. 18-year-olds should be able to purchase AR-16s and then all of a sudden make a decision to go to a school and shoot it up.
AR-15. There's no AR-16.
Well, whatever. You get whatever floats your boat, basement dweller, whatever's in your little arsenal.
Whatever blows your skirt up, Aguna.
Yeah, because again, teachers should have AR-16. PR should have all of that.
Every now and then,
most gun owners are okay with gun control because most people, citizens, we're going to get guns regardless. There's nothing going to stop me from getting a gun. Nothing's going to stop me.
Thank you, Aguna. All right, sorry, Cousin Todd, we're out of time.
I'm a good citizen.
Can't hear you talk.
Me too.
Go ahead, Cousin Todd. You got 2 seconds.
This is how typical of you, Republican. To pick up on what Aguna was saying, when you have teachers with guns, what is a police officer to do when they're running into the school and half the school has weapons?
Shoot the teacher.
So how do they know the good guys from the bad guys?
They don't.
So, of course not. So that whole idea
they should be
is
trained.
Silly. They should be trained to spot the good guy as opposed to
let teachers teach.
If those 2 teachers in the school in Texas, if the 2 teachers had guns, maybe they could have saved some children's lives.
No, they wouldn't. That's not what they're there for. That's not what they're there for.
Not there to save
they're saving lives by being teachers. They're saving lives by being teachers to begin with.
No, they died.
So get it right.
Children died.
Get it right. Get it right.
Why couldn't they have a gun in their classroom and shoot the guy that came in there?
Okay. Hey, Stephen, why didn't you talk over Keith's roundtable? Okay, I'm done. I'm done. The whole idea of everybody should have guns in school is just silly, and they should only have one door That way, when it's a fire and the children get burned up because they all couldn't get out of that one door, well, that's Joe Biden's fault.
Aguna's wrong. Teachers are
from the
sworn to protect kids. Teachers
Yeah,
are.
but you protect your kid. That doesn't mean you have a gun to protect them. That doesn't mean you.
Well, protect.
Okay, we've run out of time. To our first responders in our communities, you make our lives livable. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To the women and men of the U.S. military for all that you do in sacrificing your lives so that we are free to choose to say whatever we want to on this show. We are forever indebted. On behalf of Aguna, the Nigerian moderate Republican, you're not Aguna, Stephen. Stephen.
He wants to be. He wants to be. He wants to be.
And he's not the independent thinker. But that's the best Stephen has ever looked with those glasses on. Put them back on and keep them on for life.
Thanks, Todd.
I think he's out of his survivalist.
Constitutional conservative. And my cousin Todd, and people say, is he really your cousin Todd, or is that just his name? No, he's really my cousin Todd. I'm Stacey Johnson.
She says, no, that's not my cousin Todd. I don't claim him.
Find us on the Flow Television Network. The Flow Television Network. You can find us on Twitter, Twitch.
Yeah, keep his day job.
Where else can you find us?
YouTube.
Twitter, YouTube.
Everybody remember, 80% of the cousin like Joe Biden.
Good night.
Bye, Biden.